Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, introducing you to my Dark Souls video walkthrough, and we are in the Undead Parish, moving away from the blacksmith and progressing towards the centre of the actual parish. So, in the middle of here is a one-time only enemy, unless you've been gravelorded, and then there's a few. And he's an homage to a boss in Demon Souls. He's effectively a mini Tower Knight. He's even got a scraping spear, which it looks like a scraping spear, which is a weapon off of Demon Souls. Although I think that's a giant mace. It just looks a little bit like a scraping spear. As I get two-pieced and nearly die. So yes, this is a walkthrough on how to beat the game, just not how to beat the game very well. But whenever you're up against something big, they have a hard time navigating round corners and round terrain, so always try and put as much shit between you and them before you heal, because it'll just save you. The pathing isn't good enough for him to follow me with any kind of speed. This guy can be parried. I just don't know why I'm trying to do it, because it's really unsafe. And if you're wondering what I was looking for there in the little emotes, in the gestures, I was looking for the shrug, because I was just as embarrassed about that fight as anybody who watched it probably was. It went really bad. But that is our second Firekeeper soul, which means we can get Estus Flask +2. And at this point in the game, it will be a full heal, which is really useful. And I'm going to be going back to the Undead Asylum to get some quick souls and a couple of items, purely because I know I can do it at this level, and I also want to get into the Darkwood Gardens much quicker than normal. And if you've never done this area here, this is one of those things where the first few times you try it, you might fall a couple times, but once you know what you're doing, you should be fine. And before anybody mentions that I've missed shinies, or I didn't pick this up and I didn't pick that up, I'm well aware, folks. I've played this game so much at this point that a lot of the loot is committed to memory, and if I'm not interested in it, I will simply not pick it up. It's just how I roll. I know it's not the completionist mentality, but I beat this game like 10 times, and that's a lot in my eyes. But come over to the nest, sit in it for a good minute before anything happens, and you will be taken back to the Undead Asylum. Which, how the hell anybody figured this out, I'm not too sure, because I do not have the patience to randomly stand or sit in places for a long time. Although, to be frank, if it allows you to interact with it, it has to serve a function. That's generally how I work when it comes to games. But these are normal dredgelings with torches, and these are actually one of the most lethal enemies on the game. And I believe in this walkthrough, I beat the stray demon without being hit, and then one of these nearly kills me on my way back to the bonfire. That's how dangerous these things are. They're more dangerous than an optional boss that can one-shot you. And it's all because the fire goes through your shield, and once they hit you once, they do a flurry of attacks that does a generous amount of damage. So do not run across the centre of this room, or you will fall down into a chamber with an exceptionally large demon in it. And early on, if you've never fought this demon, it's going to mess you up, because you don't know its attacks, you don't know how to fight it, and everything it does really hurts. A good strategy to get into early on, if you're confident, which for any new player I would definitely say don't do. When you go into a new area, for instance, if you have to go to the bottom of Blighttown, do not use any bonfires in that area. And then when you use something called the Homeward Bone, it will take you back to the last bonfire you rested at, and if it's somewhere like Firelink, it will save you a massive journey back to where you came from. Obviously, if you do not have the confidence in your ability to go that long without a bonfire, don't do it. It's definitely an advanced level strategy for navigating. And it's really useful for timekeeping before you are able to warp, but it can be risk versus reward situation, so be very careful. But this guy up here, you'll remember him because he's the dude that gave us the Estus Flask. He's the person that introduced the undead to alcoholism. which I don't know why I wanted to put an extra HOL in that word, but I did. And he's now going to attack you because he's gone hollow. He's wearing, I think it's the full knight set. He has a crest shield, and I think it's an Astora's straight sword what he's using. And he's actually pretty good, so early on you might have some difficulty with him unless you're good at fishing for backstabs or you can parry. And he's very parryable, as you've just seen. And this guy is going to drop one of the best shields against magic. It is a exclusively magic defense based shield called the Crest Shield. The only downside to that shield, unless you know how to get lots of it early on, is you need Twinkling Titanite to level it up, which at the end of the game or in New Game Plus is not a problem whatsoever because you get so many souls you can just buy it. But on a new playthrough it can be a bit of a pain in the ass to amount any kind of high numbers of the stuff because it is pretty rare. But just be careful up here because once again enemies in numbers are always dangerous. Right there, I thought I'd have enough space to, do a figure S to get around the arrow, but apparently I was wrong, and it went through my forearm instead. Over here is two dudes guarding the door. One has a spear, one has a sword. The sword guy is the most aggressive, so kill him first. Oh, goodness me, that was a mistake. And I'm backpedaling pretty quick now because this guy knows I'm weak and he's probably going in for the kill. Something to bear in mind as well, folks, if you come here as early as I have, the enemies have got a substantial buff since the last time you came. So you'll notice the Drake Sword is not one-shotting these people, even though when we first were here, we could kill them pretty quick with Bandit's Dagger. And that door just there was the key I picked up off the roof before we came, and that is one of the most important rings on the game, the Rusted Iron Ring. But we'll talk more about that ring when we use it. I'm going to go down here through this little shortcut and I'm going to hit this bonfire. And I was tempted to go and kill the stray demon, but instead I grabbed the doll, the porcelain doll is it called, I can't remember its name, and I killed the last Black Knight because subconsciously I was hoping to get a Black Knight sword, but it doesn't drop off this guy for me because I'm just not lucky enough. But when he runs at you, he always does the thrust. You can parry it, but it's one of those where if you mess it up, you're going to pay a large price. And the only problem with this area is if you're not that confident with your parries, it can be difficult to fight these knights because it's it's hollow. The narrow alleyway really doesn't work for you. Their weapons go through the walls, your weapons hit the walls. Trying to get the backstab on these guys can be awkward at the best of times, so this can be a challenging fight for new players. As he drops a red titanite chunk, which is extremely useful synthesis for fire weapons, but there you go, peculiar doll. Jesus Christ, losing my words. And if I'd not used the bonfire in this area, I could have picked up that doll and used a homeward bone and gone directly back to Firelink, but as I've mentioned, I was tempted during this run to try and kill the stray demon, but it takes too long with the Drake Sword at this low level, because even two-handing, you're only taking off about 100 damage, so you've got to hit him about 100 times, and I'm not the biggest fan of those, endurance fights. It's the same as the Asylum demon at the start of the game when you have the broken sword. You can actually kill him with the broken sword, it takes a goddamn long that by the end of it I feel like I've aged, so it's never something I enjoy doing. And because we've used the bonfire, all the fire guys are back, so be very careful. As you'll notice, it does some serious damage to a low vitality build. And an interesting note as well here, sometimes you can get the enemies above us, who are on the balcony, and they will drop down the way we drop down on the Asylum demon and start attacking you from behind if you're not careful. And speaking of careful, I was exceptionally lucky then not to die. To the right of those graves that I just passed is a small crow's nest that allows you to do some trades, but I'm going to introduce you to that concept a little bit later on when it's more relevant, as we wait for what a lot of people believe is Velka, the giant crow deity, or whatever the hell it is. And disasters are gone after the defeat of a Gravelord servant, which is one of the most broken covenants on the game, because it would normally change enemies in your environment into red phantoms, and they do massive damage, but a lot of the times you don't even see the infection, and that message comes up, and you don't get any souls, so it seems kind of broken. And anybody wondering then, did I kind of shit my pants when I did that fall and I had almost no life? Yes, I did. I really did. Because if that had have killed me, I would have been all the way back inside the Undead Asylum, and I would have had to make the journey that I just made once again, which is not long, but when you're recording, it's very annoying. So after that little endeavour, we now have 11,000 souls, which is a hefty amount early game, but we still need 9,000, and 9,000 is also quite a hefty amount. So in my mind, I'm probably thinking to go towards the Dark Root Garden, perhaps take on the Moonlight Butterfly, something like that, or take on some of the Stone Giants, but if I'm completely honest with you, I can't quite remember my decision, so we'll have to watch. Oh, and if you try and aggro these Boulder Knights, be careful of the Channeler up there, because he does a lot of damage early game, and apparently he does not have stacks of miracles or spells. He can just do them for days, like it's his job, so you want to be a little tentative around his spam-happy nature. Little tip as well, if you're really lucky, sometimes he tries a physical attack when you're underneath him, and he'll actually fall down to your level, but it seems to be really rare that he tries it. It must be something wrong with the AI programming, because there's no way in hell he's going to hit you from that distance. But when you come through here, there's a halberd on the right, which is nowhere near as good as its counterpart in Demon Souls, which is a shame, because that weapon attacks really fast in that game. But I suppose all the weapons attack fast in that game, because it's a much quicker game. But this will open up the gate that was closed earlier, and that key will enable us to go into the depths, which is going to be awesome, because that's where we're going to unlock the Pyromancer, who's going to break the game for us. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope it's helping, and you take care now.